Hi guys, welcome to Art Talk with April, Season 3. I'm April Harris of Inked April, located in Birmingham, Alabama. We have some wonderfully inspiring artists on this season. Let's get started. Hi everyone, welcome to Art Talk with April, and today we have the very talented Chris Wade. He is in his studio at Lowe Mill. So there may be a little disruption in the background, but if so, that's just the life of having a studio there, right?
Pretty much.
Chris is a painter and he does metal work and all kinds of drawing. I mean, I love what you do, Chris. I
Thank
could
you.
not believe when I came across your work, I believe on the Alabama Artist Group, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Is where I first connected with you, kind of.
Mhm.
And we were both complaining about the spam on the art group, I think.
Yeah. This just in. Chuck Norris is dead. Reba McEntire is dead. Bruce Willis is dead.
I was like, okay, how did you get into art? Like, is this something that you started as a kid? Or did you go to school for it?
Well, my dad was a drafter. My sister liked to draw and paint, and my dad was a good technical artist. And before right around the time where everything started going computer,
Mm.
and he got me into drawing. I was really into drawing sports cars and jets and Mario Land and anything I was interested or fascinated with, I would be drawing for a while. I mean, for a while, I remember I was probably 7 or 8. I was fascinated with drawing mountains and fascinated with evergreens, thanks to Bob Ross.
Yeah.
Um, my grandma, my mom's side, she dabbled in painting, so she got me into watching Bob Ross and got me into attempting to paint. But I was always better at drawing than I was at painting, and then quit for a long time. I would take drawing classes in high school, but
Yeah.
like I was always technically good at it, but I just couldn't think of anything to draw. Like I didn't have any original ideas. And, by the time you're a teenager, it's like, okay, I'm either gonna draw anime or I'm gonna, you know, or I'm bored with, I dabble with drawing futuristic cities and Dragon Ball Z in 19 or 20 when I had my first aha moment.
Yeah.
Sorry, we got someone grinding a rock in the 2 studios over. So, my first aha moment came when I was like 19 or 20. I was having synesthesia situation with, I've always seen color and seen places in my mind when I hear music. Kind of spilled over into, well, I've got these watercolors. Maybe I'll like attempt to draw something that feels like what I'm seeing in the mind when I hear music. So that's how I accidentally stumbled onto surrealism. I wouldn't call it stream of consciousness, although it could have been that. I don't know. But that's how I discovered surrealism by accident. I'd forgotten all about being taught about surrealism in school. Forgot about Salvador Dali and MC Escher, and then I took some art classes in college, like Calhoun, and I started having these ideas of strange sci-fi worlds that were more surreal and had aspects of them were melting in all different directions, and start playing with perspective and stumbling into MC Escher territory, but with a less mathematical, precise
Yeah.
approach to things. And then, I started doing pictures of ships going off the edge of the ocean, gave these ships leaf sails, started doing ships of flying in the sky with leaf sails, passing by hot air balloon light bulbs, things like that. And just goofy ideas, and then making up just these kind of fantastical scenes, mostly on just 8x10 paper, and it'd take me months. And then I did an 18x24 of a ship going off the edge of the ocean in ballpoint. And that took me like 3 years.
Wow.
But it's also a slow worker, like way too slow. And then I went to school for graphic design when I was like 25, I think. Well, something the teacher told me. She said, I would like to see you do 3 works of art that would represent how your upbringing affected you. Because she could tell that I had some unhealed trauma. And,
Yeah.
some of the conversations we had kind of had similar family circumstances growing up. And so she said, I think it'd be therapeutic for you if you would do 3 works of art that would represent how your upbringing affected you. So I said, nah, I don't know about that. And then I passed by the Rocket in Ardmore on the state line, at the Alabama Welcome Center.
Yeah.
And I realized, well, I've been having all these dreams about finding abandoned rockets. And, some of them were exciting, some of them were eerie, some of them were like, in the afternoon, I'm going through the woods, and society is just all like in campgrounds, I guess. And
Yeah.
it's strange. And like everybody knew was in this campground, and I decided to go take a walk to the woods, and there's this rocket in the woods, and things like that, or dreams of rockets taking off from the Madison Square Mall parking lot, back when that place existed,
Yeah.
or giant rockets off in the distance, or I come out of a building, there's just a rocket towering over me across the street.
Wow.
And it didn't feel like seeing a rocket in real life. It felt as if being just face to face with a dream, a sense of the realization of this is what you're made for. And, this sense of, are you ready to get on? Are you ready to board it? Come on, let's go. Yeah. And it's this overwhelming kind of excitement when I see these, like just awestruck. So I'd have those dreams, and I realized as I was passing by this rocket one night, because I started seeing rockets everywhere. My
Yeah.
sister moved back to town and brought her new dog over. Her dog's name is Rocket. And what if I actually found one in the woods? What would I do with it? If I was a kid, I'd probably make a homemade spacesuit. I don't know, like a dirt bike helmet and a
Yeah.
jacket and my pants and boots and make a jetpack, make
Oh,
a
that's
Coke bottle
awesome.
jetpack,
Yeah.
and yeah, I got the fins, the
Oh, that's so
thrusters.
great.
This thruster fell off, but
Yeah.
yeah. So
Oh, that's awesome.
so the kid in my paintings is wearing a jetpack like that, and yeah, I know astronauts don't wear jetpacks, but still, was a kid, no.
Yeah.
So thinking, well, build my homemade spacesuit. I would invite all my friends. We would have this rocket as our secret hideout, and we'd build a treehouse into it.
Yeah.
And so that's when I got the first ideas for, if you can see that one up there,
Yeah.
but I'll show you closer later. But yeah, like that was a Saturn 1B. That's the one in Ardmore, grown over by a tree with people climbing up in it and kids swinging on a swing from a branch. And
Yeah.
just a happy scene, because time I was dealing with a lot of kind of, I want to say existential crisis, but kind of this feeling of having no idea what I was doing with my life at the time. And when you're in your mid-20s and you think, I'm getting old, but then now you're, and then 10 years later, you're like, oh man, wish I realized how young I was at the
Yeah.
time. And wonder if I'll feel that way when I'm 46. But anyway,
You will.
but
You
yeah,
will.
so yeah, maybe. I wonder if I'll think that way about how I feel now. But I just went crazy on these ideas of trying to capture that feeling of what I was dreaming, because it felt like an escape. It felt like,
When I first saw your work, I thought, "Oh my gosh, this is so great. This is so cool." Because it is like you're creating like this kind of alternate universe place, where you're kind of exploring that through each painting or whatever. And I thought this is so cool because I just love like the branches or melting or the kind of like a juxtaposition between ideas or something that's going on. Are you doing watercolors?
how I started. I mean, I was doing pen drawings at first, and then
Yeah.
yeah, I was doing pen drawings at ballpoint, and then a teacher yelled at me for using ballpoint, and told me it wasn't archival, so
Yeah.
I just started using ballpoint with watercolor instead. Um, and because I saw Caitlin Hackett in High Fructose magazine
Yes.
doing
I
ballpoint
love
drawings and
her.
painting them with watercolor. Yeah,
Yeah.
and so that kind of gave me the green light that I could do that too. And
Yeah. Why
but
not?
then it turned in, yeah. Then I realized watercolor's not getting me the kind of color depth that I need because probably because I couldn't afford $100 watercolor tubes, you know. And so I started with watercolor because I wanted color in my stuff, and I was tired of it taking forever to color things in with a ballpoint. And so
Yeah.
I thought, well, if I could just spread the color over it, that'd be nice. And then I realized, okay, maybe India ink is going to be more potent and give me, you know, more of what I'm looking for. And so then I went from India ink to eventually just straight up acrylic ink paintings. And
Mm.
that's primarily what I do now is acrylic ink painting,
Oh,
and
okay.
all on watercolor paper. But I'm actually starting to transition to painting on aluminum, painting on
Oh,
metal.
wow.
Yeah, like there's one in the works.
Oh, yeah.
Uh, This is on the metal itself, and I use countersunk screws and
Yeah.
then the metal border
I
lifted
love
up
that.
from it. So you can actually see there's a little bit of,
Is that ink that you're working with there?
yeah, it's acrylic ink. And
Wow.
a lot of it's a lot of it's airbrushed.
Okay.
So I started using airbrush over the past year or two.
Oh, nice.
And yeah, using airbrush really kind of revolutionized my style because I was able to give a kind of soft glow to things that I couldn't achieve with just a brush.
Yeah.
So I imagine probably if I were to go to oil paint, I could still get some of the same effects, but it would have brush strokes,
Mhm.
but it would probably it'd look a lot better than trying to do that with acrylic ink.
Yeah.
Um, Honestly, acrylic ink is not nearly as potent as India ink, but India ink dries super shiny, and it's really hard to get the light colors to go over the dark colors. So for right now, acrylic ink, airbrush, just figuring out how to troubleshoot all that.
Yeah. So you're kind of
That's
in
what I've been
that
doing.
experimental phase where you're trying different things and trying to get the effects that you want.
On the fence about whether or not I should go to oil, but if I do that, then that means I'm gonna have to find a place to store paintings that are in progress, or only work on one at a time till
Yeah.
it's done, then start the next. It's just the turnaround time on that. I don't know if it would be as practical as what I'm doing. I've discovered that painting acrylic ink on surfaces other than watercolor paper seems to go faster. Like pastel board, wood panel, aluminum. So yeah, I'm doing a lot of experimentation right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You mentioned that it can take you a really long time to create something. So you're talking about like getting into the details of the painting that takes you more time?
I'm usually working on a bunch of projects at once. So finding the time, realistically, if I were just to work on each painting a few days straight and
Hmm.
then move on to the next one, I'd probably finish them one after another.
Yeah.
I dealing with ADHD,
Yeah.
ADHD artist thing. It can be difficult to like I deal with this sense of panic. Well, I have to have these all done, so I have to get this one done and this one and this one and this one. So you know, so instead of just doing one right after another, I jump around, I freeze up trying to juggle them all at once, and it's not a healthy way to do it. So I do get very detailed.
Yeah.
I have a hard time. I also deal with perfectionism. I get really deep into trying to get the colors correct because I'm, deal with the whole red green color deficiency. I
Mm.
still see color. Just a lot of time have a hard time telling if I'm seeing red or green.
Yeah.
Have a hard time telling if the color is accurate or not. And
Yeah.
strangely enough, the thing that seemed to help out the most was realizing I can add gray into my colors a little bit. mute them out a little bit. I'm like, whoa, that actually makes it more accurate.
Oh,
Not everything you see out in nature is extremely vivid,
yeah.
and all my paintings were very vivid for some reason. I need to slightly dull these colors, and if nothing else, dull the colors so that the important ones can stand out, focal points. So, I mean, if every color is vivid, then none of the right colors stand out.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's kind of how I'm starting to see things. I'm starting to really focus on color a lot more than detail. Like I'm starting to do more simplistic paintings with the challenge of the goal of making the colors just really pull people in.
Yeah. I love
So
that.
yeah,
I think that's a smart choice. I think with your work, that's a really great way to go about it. So, what would you say would be one of your biggest struggles as an artist?
keeping up with all the things I got to do and letting it all fall to the side for marketing, social media. I need to hire somebody, handle my social media and applying for shows for me. The way I can actually spend the time I need on getting the work done, getting the prints made, some help with cleaning up my website, easier to navigate and more thorough, but also less confusing. Aside from that kind of thing, just the logistics of marketing as an artist, I really never learn that kind of thing in art school. I mean, I took marketing and still barely learned anything.
Mm,
And they didn't teach you anything about social media marketing. It was just all about principles of marketing. But
yeah.
social media adds in a whole different.
Whole different world.
Oh yeah, you got to keep up with the algorithms.
Yeah.
Your beautiful masterpiece of a painting that you worked so hard on is not nearly as interesting as a girl lip syncing and doing a choreographed dance. Or somebody doing a quick 10-second line drawing with some trending music.
Yeah.
People are entertained by the simplest, dumbest stuff, and all the brilliant stuff is getting swept under the rug
Yeah.
because of
Yeah.
social media. Unless you can find a way to do something that stands out, trending way,
Mm.
or some kind of gimmick. You gotta swing a bucket of paint over a canvas and then spin that canvas and then dump black paint on it and spin the canvas
And do
and bow
cartwheels
to the
and
camera.
flips and sing a song.
Yeah, where the struggle then becomes I'm pissed off at the world of social media. I'm pissed off at the trends. I'm pissed off at the challenge, I'll say. And it can be a struggle, but the challenge is to keep a good attitude.
Mm,
I think that's like one of the hardest things to do. And because it's so easy to be just angry and want to give up.
yeah,
And
frustrating.
then I want to know that it's worth it. I want to know that my artwork is having a positive effect, a positive impact on somebody,
Yeah.
that somehow I'm actually contributing to society and making the world a better place through my work. But, you know, oftentimes it can feel as if you're just trying to it could feel like I'm just making it all me. It's like, well, I have to remember I'm the one experiencing this.
Mm,
So to a degree, you cannot escape the me, you know. But realistically, there's times I think if I didn't have to worry about money, I would just paint and give my paintings away. If I had my bills paid and I could have like a good workspace to work on things, and I wouldn't care about trying to sell my work. I wouldn't even care about trying to make my stuff go viral. I would just do it for the joy of it and give my paintings away or give them to friends and family, give them to. I remember I started working at Space Camp and I would do drawings for people. I started working at Space Camp after I finished school. I started doing all the rocket. Sometimes people would be all like, "Oh, draw me a picture." I want, because during training, I drew a really cool scene on a guy's lab manual, and he still has it. Like that was seven years ago. Drew something for a friend who referred me to to work there, and then I I drew the Firefly spaceship for another guy who was going to pay me for it. I gave it to him. I said happy birthday, and And then I, I drew something for somebody else, and she turned her nose up at it and acted like she hated it. And then
Oh my
tried
gosh.
then she tried to commission me a painting. So me not knowing what I was doing, I was like, I don't know if maybe I was trying to buy people's approval at the time, but the guy I did the spaceship for, I wasn't trying to buy his approval. He and I were already cool, and I just liked drawing things and entertaining people with it. And I would draw pictures for my teams. Like I would each week I'd have a different team of kids. I would draw a picture, make a copy of it for each one of them,
Oh,
and
that's awesome.
it'd be elaborate in detail. And there's not enough time to draw for all the people I want to draw for. It tends to happen that the right people tend to pop up right at the right time. Like whether you want to call it God or the universe or the quantum field or whatever, go uber spiritual or whatever, all the same concept to me.
Yeah.
Um, but I believe that a provider, provides the right opportunities and the right customers at the right time. But
Yeah.
it's really difficult to remember to trust it, And the challenge that I have been really thinking about has been, or been mindful of, is to keep a good attitude, to don't trust in social media, don't trust in, I don't even trust in my own ability to go try and talk people into buying my work or to try and sell my work to them, to try and sell the idea to make them want it. To me, I honestly see that as manipulation.
Mhm.
Like, and I don't want any part of that. Like, I don't, in a perfect world, well, in a perfect world, we wouldn't need money at all. But, you know, in in an ideal setting, like, I wouldn't be, I would just do the art, make it available, people come get it. And I just enjoy doing the art
Yeah.
and making it available. And,
Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, I get it. I think, artists having to kind of wear all those hats and do all those things, it's frustrating because really what you're truly wanting to do is just to make the art and,
yeah,
live a decent life where you're not, broke or something. And
you're not burned out and just want to
yeah,
rip your hair off. Yeah,
yeah, yeah. You just want to make art and you know, live your life, but then you've got to figure out a way to pay the bills and do all the things that people do, with
yeah,
their careers and stuff. And so
yeah,
then you've got social media on top of that. It's a real kind of pain in the ass to have to worry about.
yeah. It is. I mean,
Like, what is this?
everybody seems to think, oh, you're an artist. You just get to do whatever you want all the time. You know, you just get to sit there and color pictures all day. It must be nice just to be able to color pictures all day. And I'll be like, it must be nice to be able to limit your work to 6 to 8 hours a day and then be done with it without, you know, having to be the boss, having to be the social media manager, having to be the marketing department, having to be the customer service rep, and you know, and put out fires and do the job at the same time. It never felt right to me when people say, being an artist is 90% all the other work and 10% actually painting. I'm like, then how am I gonna get anything done?
Yeah.
So I'm gonna paint. Like, and if I have to, I'll pay somebody to do the dirty work.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
I'll make social media posts and stuff, but I'll try to get good at TikTok. I hate TikTok, but it's just this feeling of I worked really hard on this painting for months, and I'm so glad I could post it on Instagram to get 30 likes on it, and to keep up the good work. You know,
Yeah.
like, have you seen that reel with or that soundbite where it's like it's this you know kind of happy techno music, and then you hear a group of kids yell thanks, and I made a reel with that, and it was panning over one of my pictures, and then you see my thumb go up as it yells thanks, and it's captioned in quotes, "Keep up the good work, client," or and then customer leaves and never comes back. It's like thanks. Another one I want to do is that same one, but it says instead of "keep up the good work," it's "oh, I could never afford your art. Thanks." We're totally getting off topic from art, and we're getting on the topic of all the things artists hate. So sorry about that.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah.
So I kind of feel like your work would be really great, like juxtapose or
Oh man, yes,
high
I would love to get in that.
fructose. Um, where else? There's high fructose and Beautiful Bizarre magazine, I think.
Yeah, so I would love to get into those. I just don't really know how. I
Oh
mean,
man, you just need to go and submit.
yeah, like if we're being quite honest, it's a matter of I have not taken the time to really research it, and there's honestly an anxiety that goes with it. Like how it is applying for things. There's that anxiety of will they accept or reject it, and I don't deal with rejection well, honestly. Um, and I've had to learn to, but I'm still. It's strange. Sometimes applying for things, it's almost as if being turned down can be relieving because it's a comfort bubble that's not good for me.
Mm.
Like means that's work I'm not going to have to do, but that's also growth I'm not going to get to experience. You know,
Um,
and I really, really want to get in those shows or in those magazines. Um, just need to, you know, in the words of Woody Harrelson from Zombieland, nut up or shut up. You know,
yeah,
just stop talking about all the things I want to do that I'd like to do and actually just do it. You
yeah.
know, it's time to stop making excuses for my failures or for the things I haven't accomplished.
Oh,
Stop blaming other people who I'm jealous of, and start actually going for the things I really want to achieve in life. And
I mean, I'm not trying to give you false encouragement or anything, but I feel like your work is really great and that you should submit it. Just like
yeah,
just pick one. And just because you know, it may not get in, or if it does, just don't worry about that. Like
yeah,
just submit, 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 submit.
yeah. Just a lot of those applications. Yet the other side of the coin is they all want like a $50 submission fee.
Oh yeah, don't
It's
do
like,
that.
yeah, how often can I afford to do that?
I know.
But like, some of them are $10, $15, but there's areas that I really want to go into. Like you said, those magazines. I want to get shows out in LA. I'd love to get shows in, the big cities. When there's somebody dumping buckets of paint on a canvas and getting paid $70,000 for that crap. Like, sorry, I think it's crap. I could be wrong, but like, it's just paint pouring but bigger. That's all.
Yeah.
And I'd love to get into illustrating kids' books or finding writers. Just haven't researched it yet. It's one of those
Yeah.
things that it's really burning in me to do.
I feel like you
And
already have the beginnings of a story because of
oh
your
yeah,
worlds that you're creating. You're already
yeah,
looking at it from the perspective of, if I was a little kid and I came across this rocket, what would happen? That's the
yeah,
story right there. That's the
yeah.
adventure that
I've
gets
got
to
prose
happen.
poetry that goes along with it too.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
some of it's very deep and dark, and people they look at my work and they think it's about rockets, but it's not.
Yeah.
You know, it's about internal condition. You know,
Mm,
it's about the tree through the rocket is the things we've internalized since we were kids, and the
mm.
rocket being that hope, that promise, that dream, that things, where we want to go, who we want to be. It's representative of all that stuff. And so the prose poetry that I've started to write with it has to do with the thought process, the way it all feels, and just kind of digging back up the kind of the things that happened that led to it.
Mhm.
Not specific, not specifically, more in a poetic sense, but not specifically naming those things or those people,
Mm.
like those things or those people represented by other symbolism.
Sure.
All the rocket stuff's a journey,
Yeah,
from
yeah, yeah.
detriment to, hey, let's take a childlike approach for a minute, build the tree houses, get a better vantage point, better perspective on things, and then hey, maybe it's time to move on and discover new dreams and forgive ourselves, forgive the other people,
Yeah.
and because honestly, a lot of it, uh, you know, being stuck in this kind of wasteland of these abandoned rockets. I mean, specifically, it's called Close to Home.
Yeah.
Kind of a
Oh,
representation
I
of
love that.
two sides of me. The older, more experienced, more battle hardened, or emotionally hardened side of me, and then the kid.
Yeah.
Um, and it's like the younger, more innocent, more adventurous side of me,
Yeah.
and so it's like in a way like this. I came up with this sort of picture, mental image, or idea that the young kid is like the young adventurous side of me before the damage happened. That just I guess I would I need I started using non-glare glass, but I need to put it in this one.
Yeah.
Um, but
That's great.
and
And
then
see, when I look at your work, it really has a story to it, you know? Like even if
yeah,
it weren't children's stories, it could be, a graphic novel kind of thing.
yeah. So I just don't know about like an actual story in the sense of a plot
Yeah,
necessarily.
yeah.
To me, it's more. I don't know. I don't want to say abstract or surreal, or
Mhm.
it's almost like a dream sequence in a way. Like
Yeah.
it's not a good guy has this obstacle, good guy beats the obstacle, the end. Yay! It's more of a dream sequence from place to place, or from.
Mm,
I would say the young kid in my paintings
mm,
is more of like the true identity, the real, like that pure nature of who I am.
yeah.
The older kid is the I've seen some stuff,
Mhm.
and I want to protect you. I want to protect that innocent side. And it's like, where Jesus said, above all, guard your heart, because it's a wellspring of life. Everything you are, your reality, your life, it all comes from what you put in your heart, what
Mm,
you dwell on, what you think on. Don't believe the negative voices. Don't believe the stepmom called you a sorry kid. You
mm.
know, don't believe when, people tell you you're a failure or a reject. You know, like started believing that when I was in fourth grade. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
and
I think that speaks to a lot of people, and I love the way that you're, um, I don't know, illustrating it or, using symbolism to kinda work through those ideas,
yeah,
you know, those things. That's so awesome.
I'll be in here probably Wednesday through Saturday, or at least Thursday through Saturday. But yeah, we're here. We're open 11 to 7, but if people want to come see my work, they're welcome to message me to make sure I'm going to be there. So say I don't have just the rocket stuff. I've got more surreal kind of stuff, and I've got more
Mhm.
playful stuff. I've got pet portraits and goofy animals in spacesuits, and
Yeah.
really weird art too. And uh, so I like I like to kind of see my work as kids art for people,
Yeah.
for for adults and for kids, but you know, some of it's also kind of a mix of whimsical and dark, and eerie but inviting. You
Mhm.
know, um,
Yeah, it's a good mix, I think, you know?
yeah,
It's really interesting. It has depth to it and meaning
yeah.
and purpose, you know? So you take commissions. How do people get in touch with you to do that?
Message me.
Yeah,
Yeah, Instagram. Well, I'll show you this, even though this has nothing to do with the question you just asked.
it's fine. Oh, that's cool.
So I'm starting to get it back into my roots a little bit of doing some space art too. I mean, you
Yeah.
know, there's an example of the riveted metal that I paint on.
Oh, that's great.
Um, so there's these two kids are going to be on top of this rubble pile, looking off in the distance.
Oh, that's awesome.
And there's a barred spiral I'm working on. Some of my stuff is actually taking a more surreal turn. You
Yeah.
know, almost impressionism, but not you know not exactly detailed.
Yeah.
Um, but anyway, yeah, they can find me at Lowe Mill Studio 2048. They can also find me on Instagram at Ethereal Geometry.
Yeah.
That's ETHEREAL. Anyway.
Well, thank you so much for talking to me today,
Oh
Chris.
yeah. Thanks for letting me ramble.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Art Talk with April. For more information on this episode, join the Facebook group, The Art Lounge. Please subscribe and share. See you next Tuesday. Hope you have a great week.